will call to order a special meeting of the Wellington Board of Selectmen. It is Monday, January 30th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m. I will note Ms. Selectman McCoo will not be in attendance this evening. And Selectman Bulick and I are both in person. So the only item on our agenda is budget workshop. You have before you now a complete budget projection, and Donna is joining us. So I'm going to start with thanking Donna for her work.
Thank you.
For her work on our budget. This is an incredibly time-consuming process and very busy time of year, and this is just one of Donna's many duties, but it also the Board of Education at the same time. So I want to thank her for her work on this.
And CIP, right?
Oh yes, oh yeah, amongst others, but I mean, budget, she does both budgets, so what you have in front of you is a budget that reflects, as it stands with everyone's requests. Hold on 1 second. An 11.22% increase. Now, why do I see? I think I may have changed a number and that Donna, I didn't change back before Donna printed. So hopefully, yes, okay. So what you have before you is all of our requests. The only thing that is different in this between what I'm going to talk about is we talked about Troy's request for additional funds for road work. If we take that out, we're looking at an 11.22% increase. All right, if we add in the 805,000, which you had been seeing before, it brings our increase to 28.6%. Either way, significant increases.
That's a steep,
It sure is.
that's a steep number.
But we have to talk about it, right?
Yeah.
So we had the pavement management done, and what it showed us is that we need to start investing more in our roads. Do we go straight up and invest that large number, at least put that forward to begin defending, and then, you know, see how things wash? That's up to us to have healthy debate about. In addition to that, not included in your budget are 2 additional positions I would like us to talk about, and I recognize that Mike isn't here, and this is not a one meeting decision. I do not expect us to approve our budget tonight. There's been much discussion over the last 3 years, definitely in the last 2 years, where Troy has asked for additional support in public works in staffing in 2 areas, an additional laborer and a mechanic. And I will tell you once again, Troy feels that we would benefit from an additional laborer and a mechanic. And a mechanic on staff would not mean we would never send something out. There are some things that would still need to be repaired outside of the town of Wellington. Much larger projects. We wouldn't have a full mechanic staff. Some towns do. Most small towns don't, and many of our like towns, and I've presented the information before, and I'd be happy to do again, have a mechanic in some capacity on staff. We in the past had a position that was a laborer technician. That person is still on staff, but was not a trained mechanic and did not have a full scope of mechanic abilities. And so he still does some of that work when he can to help us out, but Troy once again feels that a mechanic would benefit the town of Wellington. So the last sheet Donna shared with you was a breakdown of costs for the 2 positions I've asked her about. The other is, and this has come up as we've gone through CIP and the school building committee discussions and our discussion, and that's for a facilities director. I've said it before, I'll say it again, we would benefit from having an individual who had knowledge specifically in that area of expertise and could manage, and that would be for all town-owned facilities, including schools. So Superintendent Stevens and I have talked about this over the course of several years, and both are in agreement that it's something that would be beneficial and necessary. And I looked at like towns in Wellington that have this position and kind of took a median salary of $50,000 to $60,000 annually and with the benefits. So both of those positions with benefits, because they would both be full-time positions, would be increasing the budget between $93,000 and $95,000 each. So those are things I'd like us to discuss. The facilities director would be a town, I see it as a town position, but it's another one of those shared services that we can handle a multitude of ways. We cover the whole cost and the BOE and the schools benefit from it, or we share the cost. But I think we all know at the end of the day, it comes out of the same pot of money.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Right, it's where a budget takes a hit.
Is this
So
a
we
full-time
said-
director?
I would recommend, you know, many towns, even those our size, have a director and at least one, if not two staff. I'm not pushing that direction yet. But starting with a facilities director, I think we could benefit from. Look at the library and the discussions, Jim, I don't know if you followed the discussions at both ARPA and CIP with the library. The library board and the library directors are certainly not facilities directors. This is well outside their wheelhouse, yet attempting to manage and understand quotes that are put in front of them and the work that needs to be done. And I think we need someone who's well-versed in this to assist in and making sure that our buildings are properly maintained and adequately maintained at that. So this is something that I know, at least in the previous administration, had been discussed. This is not a new need. It's a matter of investment from the town and potential increases. Again, these are not included in the budget. These would be things, if we choose to move forward, we would add to.
You just refreshed me also.
Yes.
On the public works mechanic, is that a full-time position we're asking for, or part-time?
Full-time. I'd
Full-time,
like to say full-time.
and the laborer?
I did not put a laborer in this time around, just a mechanic and a facilities director. He's been asking for a laborer. We started with a mechanic, and Troy and I had the discussion. I'd like you to talk on it. So the last discussion we had about this was, if we went with a mechanic and it was full-time, and we found that there was not a need for them to be doing mechanic work, they could then work in other capacities. So our contract does allow for employees to do a lesser paying job at their higher rate of pay. So if he had a project and he had nothing in the garage he needs to be working on, could utilize them in the field. And start with one individual in that capacity, and then move forward. We certainly could put them both forward and include it in our whole package. I do not doubt there's a need. We have a small crew. The majority of towns our size have a crew of at least 6. We have a crew of 4 full-time. And this is step into building on that. But again, for the last 2 years, we included in the budget and it was cut before it went to Board of Funding. So that's not to say we're gonna move forward, but I would like us to consider and have some discussion about the benefits of. So we can go departments by department if you would like.
That's fine, yeah.
And let's highlight any items that you believe need to be addressed. We'll start from page 1, and we're looking at a 2.1% increase overall in the selectmen's department. There's nothing noteworthy at all, there's a slight increase, well, there's an increase in salaries and a decrease in our dues to specifically CCM. So the 2.1 you see is reflective of the 2.75% pay increase. The next department is accounting, so that's the finance office, that's Don's department, again, a 5.8% increase. You'll see an increase in salaries. There's the base 2.75 that follows the CBA for non-union members. You will see the account analyst, there's an increase there. There's also a step for her. So the CBA and then the step. So that's why that one is slightly larger. Accounting software support, that is our cost for Tyler Technologies. So it's the finance software that Donna and her staff use. You see a 5% increase there. The other large increase, and I'll ask Donna to speak to this, is training and education.
Yes, that is professional development for the new accounting coordinator. That is 4 days with a consultant.
You mean the payroll coordinator?
Yeah.
Okay,
what did I
okay.
say?
You
Sorry.
said, that's okay. I thought that you said accountant, but I'm pretty sure. I knew your name.
Yeah,
Okay.
payroll benefits coordinator.
Yeah,
Yeah, the new payroll role. So there is a rollover at the end of the fiscal year that she will need to work with a consultant on. So that is 4 days to do that.
okay. And I can't say enough how, although this is a large increase, the benefit to having that. We have not had this software for a long period of time. We traditionally have one individual who handles the payroll for both the town and the Board of Education. And with the change in that position, the ability to have that training so that the work is done properly, I think Donna can speak to, is absolutely necessary. So a one-time increase, unless Donna felt that there were some other things moving forward that her department would benefit from. But it's training outside without training inside the office. It's not something I would like to see us cut back on.
There's just too many legal issues with payroll and all that, so.
There are, yeah, and trust me,
That
you
doesn't
know,
surprise me, and it seems like a
Right, I
large
mean,
percentage, but it's
it does.
a
And
small
Donna's
dollar.
Donna's department works very cooperatively with each other. If this were the old software, I think this would be very easy for them to pick up and assist each other with, relatively. But we've been using Tyler now, we're going into our 3rd year. And before that, when Amanda was with us, was just getting in the swing of it with the new system. So this is really necessary. Move into the assessor line item. And so you actually see a decrease there overall, kept flat, everything with the exception of salaries. And again, in the assistant salary, the increase is based on the CBA as well as a step. All right, revenue collector, this is a 7.9% increase or a $7,102. You'll see an increase, a proposed increase in salary for the revenue collector. The decrease in the assistant is simply because we would be starting someone again at step 1. That position is still currently vacant. And then additional fees between DMV fees, computer support, and necessary training coursework for a new assistant revenue collector. And the decrease in office supplies was because Janice, if she's able to and Anna wants to jump in, feel free. We had purchased new check scanners last year and we don't need that purchase, so drop the office supplies back down $750. We left the legal line item flat, so no increase there. Town clerk's fees, you'll see an 8.8% increase or a $9,889 increase. Again, salary, and outside of that, the large increases in purchase service. And that was it was twofold for Robin. funds for an increase in their hosting of their land records software, and then a grantor grantee index. So at least the grantor grantee index, I would think would be a 1-year expenditure. We'll move on to page 5. You'll see an overall increase in this department of 29,665. That's 11.3%. We had a one-time project in maintenance, and so we've dropped that department down $5,000. There's a $30,000 increase in computer expense. The increases there are, and you should have an outline in the backup that Kelsey provided you from our IT department. And so there's an expected 5% increase in our Microsoft licensing, an 8% budgeted increase for Nova's hosting services, and then an 8% increase in our managed service. And we share the managed service with the schools. It's a 53-47 split.
Yes.
We have a 53%, the school has 47%. In addition to that, we have some special projects that we have them look at included in here. Donna, is the senior center cost in here? Is it
Yes.
under the Nova services?
Yes, the
Okay.
one-time project.
So in your backup here, there were 3 items that I had Nova's quote us on. The first was remediation of a legacy finance server, but we determined now that that cost, Kevin, our IT working with Donna, that there is an alternative option to provide them with the access they need to our legacy software. So we did not include that $8,000. I've asked them to give us a quote on adding library to our managed support. That would not be within our budget, that would be at the library, so I'll move that discussion further. But what would be in here is additional support for the senior center, as the senior center is within the Board of Selectmen budget. So this would essentially protect the computer services we have there. They currently have no firewall and a consumer grade modem and router. And IT, I asked them to look at this and quote us on this. They believe that they can cover the managed services within our current contract, so there would be no ongoing additional costs there. But a one-time project cost of $16,100. That would be to move everything that senior center has over to be covered by Novus, and that's time and materials for $4,100. And then a complete hardware refresh of $12,000. That would be replacing their desktop computers that they have. Basically the computers that our staff, so our senior center coordinator and the copiers they felt were adequate, but that the others needed to be replaced. Kevin didn't think the monitors needed to be replaced, but the units would be. And this would put in some necessary protections in the senior center. Right now, their advice to us, based on what they saw, would be to move forward with this. If not, he feels that there's some security issues there. Basically, their wireless speeds are, we're gonna work with Donna to see what it is they should be getting based on their billing. But the wired speeds are, let me make sure I get this right, 400 to 500 megabytes, and they're getting one wireless. So certainly not an adequate speed, and probably not what they're paying for. And that could be changed with Novus coming on and adding those additional supports. So they would have better access. But currently, anyone could come into their public computers, access them using the same username, passwords, and download anything into those servers. So that certainly leaves their personal information at risk if a server is utilizing those. And I don't for a second think anybody there, I think they believe they're protected more than Novus feels that they are. And so I think it's something for us to look at. So that is in this current increase.
Are they connected to us somehow?
No, oh, you mean,
Through the network or
No.
something like that? They're not.
no, currently the only thing that's connected to us is the laptop device that the senior center coordinator uses. So she is a town employee and covered under the town.
She works over there.
But she works there in that building.
And she
So she's
uses
on there
that
wireless, yes,
That could, all right,
yes,
I see what the concern is.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't
And
know.
I don't
You click
know,
on something on the computer and then the virus goes to everything that's on the network.
yes,
Including a town computer.
and the fact
She
that,
comes back here to use it.
yeah, and that's less, as much concern, but I would say equally concerning to me is the fact that our seniors might be using that for public use and not be protected like they think that they are. Right, that's concerning, to us, and so, again, this would be a one-time project cost, the 16.1, and then our annual contract, they, believe they could more than manage the managed services over there, so there wouldn't, excuse me, an ongoing cost, there would not be an additional ongoing cost.
So how are we doing business with Novus? Do we have some type of, what, 2-year contract or a 3-year contract? Or
It's an annual contract,
it's an annual
it's an
contract?
annual
Yes.
contract, yes,
Yeah.
1 year,
And we competitively bid that?
oh, yes. Yes, yes, and I will tell you, they have been, phenomenal. We had some significant challenges with our previous, IT company, and, we were certainly unprotected, and we knew that. We've had some significant, challenges that were able to be mitigated simply because of the level of service that we have with them. There is somebody, between the schools and the town office building 5 days a week, so we have access to them. We use a ticket system, and so things are mitigated either on site if they needed to be, or within their remote support. And I'll give you, for instance, prior to Novus, we can have tickets sitting around for upwards of 100 days. Our average now is 4.2 days. And that's the most, there's some really outlier large projects that add to that number. But on average, there's immediate response. And I know there's staff sitting here in the room that could speak to the time and attention it gets when you put in a ticket with Novus. If there's not someone on site, it can be addressed remotely, it is.
Are they only providing IT support, or is there telecom bundled in there like?
No telecom,
No
they would
telecom?
recommend we do that, that is going to be
That is
another
one.
recommendation, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we had our annual meeting and Phil and I heard that discussion. That comes with a need for all new phone system, which we
Hey, wait a minute.
just replaced.
Yeah.
That is correct. And so that's something we said, let's pause. If there is a change in school location or usage and that needs to be upgraded, we felt if we needed to move on to that, that would be the time to do it, because some of those costs can be rec into the FF&E in a project like that. But, right, we think we have phones, so we should be able to use them for 100 years. Not so much the case, and certainly
Okay,
left
surprise.
unsecure. So we checked, we worked really hard to be eligible for cyber security insurance, which we had not been before. We've checked off all of the boxes to move forward. We have one red check, a box unchecked, and that is within our phone. That won't keep us from being eligible, but that's the one thing they would recommend to both the schools and the town that we consider. But there is no plan for that currently.
Okay.
All right. So that is the bulk of the increase here in the TOB budget. Again, that's a $30,000 increase. There's just under 30,000 is the total overall budget in that department. Town hall operations, slight increase there in heating oil, and that's based on our assumed dollars. Consulting engineers, we've left that flat. Senior center budget. Do I have senior center?
I'm curious, why did you leave consulting engineers flat?
We have some large potential road projects that we would need engineering for. And we split that half public works, half land use. And so they would need additional dollars. The land use has always been in the selectmen's budget.
I'm not seeing the true cost, then, right? I'm only seeing our piece of the cost.
You see both, so you see the top line is like, you don't see the current cost. These numbers were still back as of December 5th.
Yeah.
So I know Carl is currently working on the Village Hill drainage project with Troy. He's also billing us periodically for the senior center project, anything that's not included in the steep grant. So those numbers will go up as we bill. They don't always bill us monthly.
Okay.
Okay, and then I want to speak to the senior center budget. I think Kelsey just went off to get us a copy of that, because I don't see that here in our binder. You see they're proposing a $10,000 increase. They're using their van, they're looking at increasing programming to try to increase, obviously trying to market the senior center and make sure that we're providing services that are gonna be most beneficial to our residents. So a slight increase in programming, which will lead to using the vehicle more, which is why you'll see the vehicle maintenance and gas line item go up $700. The big increase in this department is $7,500 for maintenance and miscellaneous. They have outlined several areas of maintenance they believe need to be addressed in this next fiscal year. And I'm just gonna give a couple seconds to Kelsey to come back. So we make sure we have those in your binder so you can see.
Maintenance and miss, right?
Maintenance and miss, it's mostly in maintenance. Do you have it in yours, Donna?
I do.
Okay.
Make copies for everybody.
No, we have this.
Yeah. I have
It's
the
that,
detail on
yeah, the
bottom of
detail.
Maintenance increases.
Thank you. And so again, that's $7,500. So that's looking at an overall $10,289 or 25.9% increase. What you don't see in this budget is the staff we have over there, because they're human services staff. That's in the human services budget later. So then we'll talk amongst ourselves. Thank you, Donna. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so for, they're prioritizing $4,500 for maintenance and $3,000 for lot striping. God bless you. It's a parking lot. And you can see a list of the maintenance items
That's
that they have
current.
identified this current
Yeah,
year.
yeah, that was the maintenance and that line striping. That was the $7,500.
Oh, sorry, that's 22,
Yeah,
23.
yeah, that's just for reference. If I can skip over to where the increases
I see
are.
it, 23.
23, 24,
So
that's the list.
There's
12.
several that includes repaving the parking lot. A second, they'd like to install a second oil tank. There's some items with the fan intake, the hot water heater, some ductwork cleaning. Replacing the shed ramp, replacing the awning, power washing the deck. They would not be able to do all of these with 75, with potentially all of these. But they, are gonna begin to prioritize the items. Thank you.
What's the idea behind the second oil tank? You mean in addition to
In
the one?
addition to the one that they have a smaller oil tank, Troy.
It
They've run out.
seems to
They
be
haven't had-
running out of fuel. There's like just a regular like 275 like you would have in your house.
Yeah,
So I believe they want to put like a 330 in there.
Yeah.
So there would be extra, because I know in the past they have ran out of oil. There was a heating issue where there was something, it just kept running. That's
Right.
been corrected now. But I mean, it's a small tank for, a big building for a small tank. I mean, it probably should have been had 2 tanks in there, I think, from the start.
And so what I'm not sure yet, and Joe or Nan aren't here to talk with us about is, have they priced out some of those larger items, the awning, the, installing an oil tank, and such to see where they fit, but I truly believe there's significant maintenance in there that will need to be kept up. And I think we've said more than once, typically our maintenance line items are pretty bare bones. And the right way to maintain our largest capital items is not wait until it's fixed and then repair it. So they're trying to be proactive in their
No, that's good, you
approach.
don't wanna,
No.
well, you don't wanna have it suddenly a big major
That's right.
CIP project.
That's right. And so that's, again, that's where our facilities director would come in and help us assess all of those. We're looking at putting dollars towards an assessment of, a needs assessment of all of our town facilities and be able to help manage those projects too. So again, a large increase, but where I don't think we should be skipping is maintenance of our buildings. Fire main and hydrants, we sit at 8626, so that will remain flat. Building official, looking at a 2% increase. And there's a 3% increase, which is $350 on the permitting system software that we use. And we've been able to use that for a multitude of items, not just building permits. We use that for for folks to apply. We used it for CIP budget writers to put in their request for CIP. We've used it for dog licenses during COVID. We've used it for Parks and Rec for people to be able to sign up online. So we certainly get a lot of bang for our buck. And the other increase there is contractual with our building official services. We contract through the town of Bolton. All right, our big one, the way you're looking at it is with no increase in the roads maintenance. And so you're looking at a 9.5% increase, I'm sorry, a 10.6% increase or 142,833. And some of that, those significant increases are in the lease payments. And that would be for the new truck that's set to come this spring, the Public Works Director vehicle that we will be replacing. An increase, another significant increase of note is pumping our catch basins. So that was we're anticipating a cost.
Yes.
And then minimal increases outside of that unless, in salt, there's a significant increase in salt. This shows no increase in roads. If you recall, again, Troy had proposed under asphalt 805,000. Transfer station is a 2.6% increase. We're anticipating, again, salary increases, a maintenance increase, and trash removal increase. And that's based on our contracted rates with Mount Willie Waste, Casella is the current vendor. Social Security is a 6.8% increase or $6,051. That number is based on the current census of employees. We leave the unemployment flat at 1,000 unless we have a known unemployment claim. Insurance, if you remember, although there's a 7%, 7.5.
Yes.
Yeah, so many numbers in my head. A 7.5% increase in health insurance. You'll see no additional cost here. This is based on our current census. Correct, Donna?
Yes.
And then dental insurance is a not to exceed number
Yes.
of 3%,
Yes.
and life insurance is flat.
Yes.
The retirement benefits Donna went over with us in depth last year. That's a 33% increase. Workers, our insurances, which include workers' comp and LAP, is a 13.1% increase. And again, the large increase in LAP is based on current census.
What's lap?
Right.
Side.
Cyber, sorry, thank you, cyber.
Yeah.
Lap is cyber?
No, well, it's in that line item.
Yes, that is
Um,
liability, but in
liability,
that line item,
auto,
is cyber.
and
Liability and cyber. Got it.
Yes,
And keep in mind, we're using it estimated for cyber because we don't know what it's going to be. We are hoping, 15,000 each will be enough.
Is it like a liability that it's some kind of history basis, do you know?
For our cyber,
Yeah.
we've not had it.
yeah.
This will be new.
I don't
And
know, okay.
we budgeted, we began with a smaller number based on a number that we had been provided. When we actually applied, we were denied. So then we had to go through a multitude of steps with our IT to bring us in line just to be eligible. And so now we're at the point where we'll be ready to go out to see. But we just don't, we don't know who use the best numbers we have. In the Board of Finance contingency budget, that's an hour line item? That's an hour budget, Donna?
I don't think so.
That's miscellaneous, like for flowers and things, that's.
No, I mean, no, the
Oh,
the Board of Finance contingency,
Which is 0.
is that typically in our budget?
I don't think so.
Because I know in the past you all put money into it, but I suppose they have the authority to add or subtract to any budget.
I don't think it's under the select.
Okay. Miscellaneous is just that typically will be if somebody has ill in the, on staff, if they've had a death in their family, there's some money in there for some employee recognition items. The debt service, the only thing remaining currently is the bond on the library and the SCBA lease for one of the 2 fire departments. I don't remember which one. And so there's actually a decrease in that department. Capital expenditures, this was based on year 2 of the current plan. And so we plugged in that number anticipating an increase. CIP is still working. Transfer out. The only one that I think will change slightly is the human services number. Yeah. Jenny sent some new information to Donna and I today. She was asking for a transfer of 69,366. Today she's asking for a transfer of 72,000. And I believe the change has come from making some adjustments to the budget for summer camp while working with Parks and Rec in line with that. So we'll see a slight increase there. And the dog fund is actually able to remain flat. There were some, you see an outline that our new ACL has provided to you for those, for her budget, but she was able to make some adjustments within the budget to maintain a flat budget. So again, without a mechanic, a facilities director, or a significant change in our roads funding, we're at 11.2% or $445,629.
That's a very difficult thing to pass in this kind of climate.
11.2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, but there's,
And my first thought on roads and things like that is because you have to do that, otherwise the simple sealing or chip sealing, or it just develops into milling and, the full-on reclamation process, right?
but we need some of those things
We
currently.
do, and I'm wondering if that's best served under some other CIP capital funding.
I'm not opposed to that, Jim. I just think we need to begin investing in it. And that's what we haven't
think so.
done
Yeah.
is, do we start with a smaller increase, right? Troy would say we should, just to keep what we have the same, we we should be putting in that 800,000, right? If we went somewhere, we've talked about if we went somewhere between that large amount, which again is not making progress, just keeping us where we're at, and, you know, the 200,269 that we're currently budgeted, which is not enough, right? We're going backwards. Where do we do that? And
So I think about roads as just their long-term capital assets. I'm not saying they all should be in CIP, but probably a lot of that should be in CIP. More of it
so
probably requires bonding or something, because you're talking over time, millions of dollars, right? I mean, the next 5-year plan is probably, you know, $4 or $5 million.
I want to agree with you on that. But we have 2 projects that have been on the CIP plan for over 30 years. So we've already shown an inability to see for a plan that actually makes progress on some of those. So
Some things are on the plan but never deserve to move forward. They're never a priority. Not everything that's on the plan deserves to move forward. That's.
well, I think well, to say they don't deserve, I think they all do.
You're supposed to prioritize what you
Yeah.
submit, right? And then pick the critical things. Roads being obviously one of them, or some of them,
But for 30-something years, we've said these roads are not priority at all. And so to then say, let's take this, take the data, throw it out the window and move it to CIP and then go, well, it's not gonna be a priority because there's something in the building. I'm not saying you, I'm saying
Yeah,
as a town, we need to determine where we're gonna go and how we're going to invest in our infrastructure and start making significant investments in our infrastructure.
maybe it's time to start thinking about a town manager. If you want
I
to take a
absolutely agree.
very holistic point of view, because not only are you worrying about maintenance and things like that, there's all, where do you want to go with things? Where do you want to do with all the
Yes.
buildings and stuff like that?
I think every town will benefit from a town manager. Yes, I do not disagree.
I mean, other nearby towns who have town managers, like, you know, like Ellington, for example, has a.
Ellington does not. Ellington has just first selectman.
They've had a town manager at one point in time, I thought.
They don't. Stafford does not.
I
Tallinn,
don't know.
yeah, many does.
and you
Bolton
know-
has a town administrator. They maintain their board of, like, so
Yeah.
Bolton, for example, maintains their board of selectmen,
Yeah.
first selectman and 2 selectmen, and they have a town administrator. And so I think our form of government could absolutely stay. And then you add in, you decrease the first selectman salary and duty. And you hire a town manager. I would absolutely support that.
So,
Let's start, we can absolutely have that discussion.
and I would like to have that at least with our entire board.
Yes, I don't disagree. I think Mike would have a lot to
We should
say.
start talking about
Yes.
it. And just, I mean, we just talk about accounting.
The end of my first year, I said we should have a town manager. The then first selectman and Stafford and I have had lengthy conversations about how our towns would benefit. You know, talk yourself out of a job. I think it would be most beneficial to the town. Incredibly beneficial to the town. But to say that person would replace the facilities director. No. Right, so I think that person could not, you can only do so many tasks.
I don't think the town manager would handle all those things either.
No.
They start looking at everything. It's like, well, how, you know, do you want to do facilities on your own? Do you want to share it with another town? All
You're
those things.
Yeah.
They'll ask all those things. You want to, you know, just attracting the right accounting professionals to do things, you know, all that stuff's hard, and you know, they'll be looking at all those other options full time.
I'll bring back some numbers for our next meeting on costs of a town administrator.
Yeah, whatever it is, manager, administrator.
Yeah, I think so. Typically, a town manager, similar duties, right? But depending on your form of government and the work that still needs to be done and defined, and we don't have a charter. So I believe there would most likely to be an ordinance. There may be some other things to make that happen, but I will get you all that information, get us a place to start with that. and the process to implement that. I do not disagree. That would be incredibly beneficial to this town, to any town. It takes out, the feeling there's political reasons why decisions for town spending is made, right? So, I can tell you that there's absolutely nothing political about the numbers that put into this budget there. What I believe the town needs, the bare minimum we need to maintain and move forward. But at some point, we need to bring our expenses up, to be a realistic viewpoint.
Well, you also have to look at, again, at the town's ability to pay. Right, I mean, nobody's getting 11% raises this year. It's just not. It's hard. I mean, you can bring things up a little bit. It's gotta be tempered with what you're seeing in inflation and how things are working.
So within this budget, what do you see? Do you see anything? You had an opportunity to look at, some items,
I have to look at a few
some
items.
things now that we could cut.
The only thing I'm talking about for public works in terms of paving, I think some of that can be done on a capital program. And some of that, you probably have to spend at least what you spent last year and more. That's what I'm thinking. I think you have to transition to because we saw the reports from the people we hired and all that. It says $800,000 a year you need to spend to keep your roads flat. From deteriorating, you have to spend more than that, probably north of $1 million a year just to get ahead of that type of program. And I think you need to plan that. You can't throw a switch and just jump on that. That's my first thoughts on that.
But so the 11% that you're looking at does not include an
Yeah.
increase in roads.
I know
It includes none.
it just includes the facilities manager and the.
No, it does not. It
So
does not.
It includes.
Those would be in addition to. This is everything we have now. This is no additional current programming. Some additional maintenance needs, but those 3 items are not built into that 11.2%. If they were, I'd say, let's move that forward. I wish. There's nothing new in the 11.22%.
And there's not like salaries are going out of whack or anything like that. There's nothing there, so.
Once again, I'll have to say, make the same statement I said
I
before,
got some reading for the next week.
our salaries. But, looking at that, knowing we haven't changed anything, where do we cut? So if you think 11.2 is too much, I'd ask you, first, wave your arms, try and keep closest, to make some suggestions on where we cut.
Like I said, I have to take a look at this. I just got this today. We'll take a look. I mean, but you also gotta be real about it.
I do, but I'm gonna ask that when you come back to the table, it can't just be, we can't put that forward. I need some realistic, what we can cut.
Yeah.
Some real concepts of what gets cut. Because there's a significant increase in capital expenditures. We eventually will vote on that, but that will come out of, in a recommendation of CIP to us.
Yeah, that's why I didn't talk about it. You have to see that.
Right. But that is a significant increase.
And again, I'm
So.
not griping about maintenance and things like that, because that typically has to get done. If you don't do the maintenance, you end up paying not only that amount, but more, if it's going off into the future, so.
Is besides the discussion on the town manager, administrator, is there any other information you would like to see, would need to help you make some additional adjustments?
I'm just gonna guess, because Mike is new, you might want to just refresh our thinking about the public works mechanic. I don't know how up to speed he is with that. Same thing with the laborer.
Yeah, I can talk to him about that, prior to a meeting, but anything else you want to see? We're not asking for a public works laborer. I'm not, what you've been presented is a mechanic and a facilities director.
Yeah. I'll take whatever information we got on both.
What is it that you want to see, Jim?
What do facility directors around neighboring towns typically get paid?
So I
I
can
think
tell you,
mechanics are fairly easy, right?
I can give you, for instance, in Marlboro, highlight, the actual salary of their facilities director is $68,286. Beacon Falls, again, these are like towns to Wellington, $42,739. Adjacent towns. And again, oh, I'm logged out, of course. I'm logged out. Adjacent towns are. And again, I'm going from the salary survey, so assuming people have filled out the salary survey. Sorry, I'm gonna log back in again. Hopefully, while I look for a- Ellington, nope, that's not. Facilities. I'll get more information on,
So
those that don't like Stafford, and Stafford, pays 85,000 to their current facilities director.
yeah, so I'd be interested in what, if the town is hiring the salary, a facilities director, what are they paying? And I'd also be interested to know if they're farming it out somehow, are they contracting out the service for a facilities director? I don't know.
Anything else?
That's all for now. Yeah. Like I said, got some reading to do for now next week.
So we are scheduled for next Monday. Are we scheduled for next Monday? Do we have anything beyond that, Kelsey?
I don't think we were.
One more on that.
Like, we need to make
So
adjustments.
next Monday, we have a regular meeting at 6:30, we have a special meeting at 5:30. Depending on our agenda, we can carry over our conversation as well. And then we have one for the following
No,
Monday.
there's just one more for February 6th.
Okay,
But we can do another special one.
so next week we can determine if we need one beyond February. Because our regular meeting on February 21st was when we would need to vote on a budget and CIP in order to be prepared for the following Thursday, so I could present at Board of Finance. So we can add in after that, so we
Yes,
will,
I would recommend that we add one in on the 13th.
let's make sure we have the availability of everybody. So Kelsey, send that out, and then get back and see if we can add it.
Sure.
Okay, we can just do a special meeting, so it doesn't need a vote. Okay, and if there's any information you need in the meantime, please reach out to Kelsey, so that we can, make sure we can get as much information as we can. And as soon as you can, because, you know, any of those things can.
I know this,
additional
that time will come up on us fast.
Yes. Okay. All right, seeing no other business before us, I will just take a moment to remind anyone who's listening online, you have until end of business on Wednesday the 1st to pay taxes without additional interest. And then I will move to adjourn at 6:24 p.m.
I'll second that.
Although, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks for those who joined us.